Coming up on 5 Minute News. Letitia James calls for sanctions against Donald Trump. George Santos steps down from House panels amid controversy. And Kamala Harris to attend Tyre Nichols' funeral as more officers face charges. It's Wednesday, February 1. I'm Anthony Davis. New York's Attorney General Letitia James on Tuesday asked a judge to sanction disgraced former President Donald Trump, his adult children, the Trump Organization, and their lawyers over their responses to her $250 million civil fraud lawsuit against them. The lawsuit last September accused the defendants of involvement in a decades-long scheme to manipulate asset values and Trump's net worth in order to induce banks and insurers to provide better terms. On the 26th of January, the defendants filed formal answers where, as often occurs in similar lawsuits, they denied or claimed to lack sufficient knowledge about dozens of substantive accusations. In a letter to the Manhattan judge overseeing the case, Arthur Engoron, James said many responses were demonstrably false, frivolous, or otherwise improper. She said the Trumps should lose some of their defenses as well as face sanctions. James says the improper responses, including Trump's objection to being labeled the inactive president of the Trump Organization during his White House term, though he had used that description in an October 2021 sworn deposition. Trump's daughter Ivanka was criticized by James for saying she did not know whether she had personally met with bankers or could confirm the contents of her own emails. James also rejected arguments by Donald Trump and his sons, Don Jr. and Eric, that she lacked standing to sue and had already rejected their contention that she was pursuing a political witch hunt. Meanwhile, a video released on Tuesday showed Donald Trump answering questions from Letitia James in a deposition of the civil fraud case last summer. Questioned about his financial affairs, the former president repeatedly invoked his Fifth Amendment right against self-incrimination. Part of a refusal to answer, he repeated more than 400 times. Republican Representative George Santos of New York announced on Tuesday he is temporarily stepping down from his 2 congressional committees, a move that comes amid a host of ethics issues and a day after he met with House Speaker Kevin McCarthy. Santos has faced numerous calls for his resignation and is facing multiple investigations by prosecutors over his personal and campaign finances and lies about his resume and family background. Santos was assigned 2 fairly low-profile panels, the House Committee on Small Business and to the House Science, Space and Technology Committee. Still, his arrival has left GOP leadership frequently answering questions about the congressman rather than about their priorities for the coming months. In a prepared statement, Santos said he wanted to focus on serving his constituents without distraction. The questions surrounding Santos go beyond his misrepresentations to voters to include whether his congressional campaign followed the law in its reporting to the Federal Election Commission. There have been lingering questions about irregularities in his campaign committee's financial reports and the source of Santos's wealth. If Santos's campaign is found to have knowingly and willfully made any materially false, fictitious or fraudulent statement or representation on its paperwork, it could potentially face criminal charges, the FEC said in a letter to the campaign last week. Democrats have been highly critical of Santos, as well as McCarthy, for his efforts to oust 3 Democratic lawmakers from committees, while at the same time backing committee assignments for Santos, who has lied so thoroughly to his constituents about his background. Kamala Harris will, as Vice President, attend the funeral of Tyre Nichols, the black man who died 3 days after Memphis police officers savagely beat and executed him following a traffic stop earlier this month, the White House said yesterday. Nichols will be eulogized by the Reverend Al Sharpton at a service at Mississippi Boulevard Christian Church in Memphis this morning. Family members of Breonna Taylor and George Floyd, who were also murdered by police in Louisville, Kentucky and Minneapolis in 2020, will also attend. Meanwhile, Shelby County District Attorney Steve Mulroy said on Tuesday that prosecutors could bring more criminal charges against police officers and others in connection with Nichols' fatal beating, after mounting criticism over how Mulroy's office and the Memphis Police Department have handled the case. 5 officers, all black, were charged last week with second-degree murder and dismissed from the force. The department confirmed on Monday that a 6th officer, Preston Hemphill, had been suspended from duty soon after the January 7 attack, but has not been criminally charged. Questions have been raised over why Memphis police waited weeks to name the white police officer involved in the lynching, as it emerged an unnamed 7th officer and 3 emergency responders have also been disciplined over the case. After the video footage was made public last Friday, calls have grown louder for local police officials and prosecutors to be more transparent about the circumstances of the incident, given that the initial police reports do not match what was seen on the videos. You can subscribe to 5-Minute News on YouTube with your preferred podcast app. Ask your smart speaker or enable 5-Minute News as your Amazon Alexa flash briefing skill. Subscribe, rate and review online at 5minute.news. 5-Minute News is an Evergreen podcast covering politics, inequality, health and climate, delivering independent, unbiased and essential world news daily.